Okay, thank you to Mike and all the panelists for that fascinating discussion about the evolving landscape of social video and live social video in particular. So our next panel today on the social and live track presented by Grabio is entitled What is Fair Game? The Future of Athlete Media Rights. This session will explore how traditional media companies can evolve their content rights policies so that athletes, coaches, and other brand ambassadors with influential followings can share the content they're actually co-creating for social media. This panel will be moderated by Jim Cavale, the CEO and founder of INFLCR. And I'm going to bring Jim out to the stage now. Thank you.
What's up, everybody? Is everybody having a good conference so far? Good learnings, good networking, good connections? Well, listen, I'm really excited about this panel because I think it's one of the most unique mixes of panelists that you're going to see throughout these 2 days. We have a pro athlete, we have a media rights executive, we have a Division I conference commissioner, and we have a head football coach from the ACC, all joining us on this topic. Now, my company, INFLCR, is a software platform that more than 60 college athletics departments are now using to deliver personalized galleries to their student athletes. Galleries including content like pictures, videos, not just from the team's production, but from national media rights holders. And today, you're going to hear about all the things going on with media rights and athletes from actual users on the INFLCR platform. So we're going to start with Bruce Odle coming out. So Bruce is the president of USA Today Sports Images, and he's very proactive to the point where he has now shared the national media rights to their content with athletes through the INFLCR platform. Bruce, come on out.
Thank you.
Next, we have Amy Huchthausen. Amy is the commissioner of the America East Conference. She's the youngest woman to ever be a Division I NCAA conference commissioner. As you'll learn, very innovative in how she runs that league. Amy, come on out. Next is Benny Snell. Benny and I met when he became one of our 4,000 daily active athlete users on INFLCR over the past season, and now is ascended to the NFL, and most recently is a draft pick by the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's also the all-time leading rusher in the University of Kentucky's football history. Benny, come on out. And lastly, Geoff Collins. Geoff is the head football coach at Georgia Tech, one of the most innovative college football coaches in America. After turning around Temple, he's headed back to his hometown of Atlanta and is doing some amazing things digitally. If you follow Georgia Tech or coach, you should know about 404, the culture. You're going to hear about what that is today. But he's done some things that are leading to a top 10 recruiting class this season, and he's used digital and social as the centerpiece for that. Coach, come on out. All right, so we're going to start with you, Bruce. You know, it's pretty rare that a media rights holder would share control with athletes. Right now, we're seeing a day and age where it seems like media rights holders and media companies are doing everything they can to hold on and really just do whatever they can to protect their content. But yet you've decided to share it with Benny, with athletes, so that they can tell their story. Why?
Well, thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for the question. We think it's ironic that the people that are most photographed in the world, athletes and entertainers, don't have a clean means to access their own photography. So we're sympathetic to the position of the student athlete. That said, we are rights holders in a limited fashion. We're a national wire service, cover 10,000 events around the country. And we're invited into the venue to cover the game, to document the game for editorial purposes. And we have a narrow authority to offer that imagery back for editorial purposes to individuals and organizations. And we take that position and that honor and that opportunity very highly. And we think it's our responsibility to help define a process to allow imagery that's captured through these events to be used in an appropriate manner for student athletes. So that's the notion, and I support it. We're merely one person at the table. There's other folks at the table like the commissioners and the rights holders and the governing bodies, the teams, for example. So I think it's a good theory, it's a good notion. I think a big part of the solution is collaboration between all the stakeholders, and second is technology. I think with technology and a platform, you can control a lot of the things that make commissioners worried or rights holders worried, like attribution and making sure the student athletes do proper with the photos like they're supposed to. So that's our view of the world, and that's my answer.
So we'll shift that to you, Benny. You work so hard to get on the field. You then play, you get carries, and you make big plays on the field. How important is it for you to walk off that field, whether it's the practice field, the game itself, traveling, and have access to the videos and pictures that are documenting the moments that you're working so hard to create?
Definitely. You know, I feel like it's very important just in the aspect of you wanting to capture those special moments, you know, after an achievement, after a win, and, you know, after that moment. You know, with me, I feel like I have my three main social media apps that I use, which would be like Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter. And it's like, I feel like I have like family that might not follow me on this, or that might follow me on this, but not follow me on this, or, you know, different people that are just starting to get to know me. When I'm able to get this content as, you know, as fast as I do, and I'm able to share it, it's like they're all in tune. They're always in tune. They're always in tune with what I'm doing. And, you know, sometimes my achievements, you know, I got people in my hometown, you know, they don't really check up on me here and there, but, you know, they get to see what I'm doing. They get to see I'm doing well. So just having that, and as fast as it is, you know, it comes in handy. And I'm definitely blessed that this is a new thing that, you know, athletes get to use. And, you know, even for like down the line later times, like, you know, when years go by, like, I'm gonna want to look back on a special moment I had in college. I'm gonna want to look at that win after Mississippi State, you know, after beating the Swamp for all them years, you know. So just things like that, you know, it's been helping me.
And just to follow up on that, the season that Kentucky had, best season in history, you were able to be ready for that moment and grow your personal brand. And talk about the benefits you've experienced now that you're a pro athlete from the work you did on social while you were still in college.
Man, that's huge. So, you know, with me starting a brand in college, you know, it was like I was just in handcuffs. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't do anything, and I just felt like I was valued in so many ways. But but being in college, you know, they just keep you in a box. You can't do everything you want to do. With me being able to, you know, finally be where I want to be in the NFL, so much opportunity has opened up for charity, you know, for helping the unfortunate, to be able to put myself more on social so I can open opportunities for, you know, myself. We're working with other brands, or, you know, working with a brand that I did in college. Going on what I was telling you about earlier, so I wear a special mouthpiece, you know, it's Battle Sports. And, you know, I wear them out of all the big games that I had. So, you know, ESPN, you know, SEC Network, they were seeing my mouthpiece and me showing, you know, that brand off as I was winning, you know, we were seeing success. And it's like now where I'm at, now that I'm in the NFL, I have signed an Under Armour deal, so I'm with Under Armour. And Under Armour and Battle don't go together. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, I kind of isn't fair because of what was put on me in college to what I am in the NFL. So it's like, I could have went with both of them. If the rules were different, I could have been with both of them in college, you know? I could have been with Battle, and things could have worked out with Under Armour later down the line, but it's not, because the college box just keeps you in. So, you know, it's a lot of perspective, a lot of ways that an athlete has to wanting to solidify your brand, you know, and coming up to the NFL, you know, there's a lot you got to do. But I stick to it. I stay true to myself, you know what I'm saying? And look where I'm at now. So that's all
We're going to go back to that in a little bit. You sound like you're touching on name, image, and likeness, which is obviously a very hot topic right now, especially in the state of California. But I'm going to shift back. Coach Collins.
Sure.
So we're sitting here at #sports, some of the best professionals that work at front offices of pro teams and in college athletic departments, here to learn, to connect, and a head football coach is here. And I think that's unique.
Sure.
You know, like I told you, I was really excited that you wanted to do this. Talk about how you started to tap into social and realize how it could allow you to engage with fans, recruits, and help you build a program and a brand for a program digitally.
Right. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. I go back to 2006 when I was the recruiting coordinator at Georgia Tech. We put together the greatest recruiting class in Georgia Tech history via MySpace. I see some young people out here that might not even know what that is. The next year, the best recruiting class in the history of college football at the University of Alabama was done the first year that Facebook went public. So we did it through there. And so we've just embraced everything that social media is throughout my career. And I was the head coach at Temple University the last 2 years and really wanted to tell the story of our program and our culture through our players' eyes. So providing them with content, having photographers out at practice. Obviously, you're going to have great photographers out there for the games, but we'd provide them with content every day, because who better to tell your story of your program and your culture and your locker room than the players? And then we've now taken over at Georgia Tech back in my hometown of Atlanta and really empowered our players, educating them how to use social media responsibly, but also how to build their brand so that they can connect with the fan base, they can connect with future endeavors. That's really important to me, and the story about what our locker room is, what our culture is, what makes Georgia Tech so special, what makes Atlanta, the 404, a special place to be, because all the recruits, all of our fans follow our players. And for them to engage with our guys and us providing them content is huge for us, and it's huge for our guys, which is the most important thing in our organization.
Yeah, that last comment, it's huge for your guys.
Yep.
Talk about that. I mean, Benny went from, 3,000 followers to more than 100,000 during your time at Kentucky, and has been able to leverage that now going into the NFL. But whether your player is playing the NFL or they go work for Northwestern Mutual,
Right.
Their character is tangible now on social. You know, employers are going to go look at their social media and try to find out who they are before an interview happens.
Right.
Talk about how important that is to help your players build a responsible brand.
Yeah, sure. And being in an urban environment like Atlanta, New York City, you have that opportunity to engage with a larger population. And so we just try to teach them how to do it responsibly, but also accentuate who they are, accentuate the things that are great about our culture. And I think we do a really good job with that. And so we'll do certain vignettes or certain videos, and it's one thing for us to push that video and us to push that content, but that same 90-second video or the interview and the guys post it, that's powerful. And it's powerful for them. You know, it's not like we're trying to push a narrative from our perspective. It's our guys saying it, it's our guys pushing it, and it's special.
Yeah. Benny, is that music to your ears hearing a head coach talk like that?
Music to my ears, dog.
You gonna
Tell you.
you gonna freestyle for us? I'm just joking.
Y'all not ready for that. I ain't ready for that.
Commissioner Huchthausen, you have a lot of experience negotiating media deals. You did an 11-year deal with ESPN as the commissioner of America East, but you've also done a lot of innovative things. You've partnered with tech companies like INFLCR, really. What's your mindset on this whole topic?
Yeah, it's really an extension of what these guys have all talked about. You know, as a league that's not in the highest profile, our probably objective or strategy to reach that objective in terms of growing our brand is a little different than in ACC or Big 10 or Big 12, where everyone generally knows them. And so we're trying to grow the conference's brand, but we do that, just as these guys said, with the support and part of this ecosystem of our schools, our teams, and our student athletes. And so trying to give our schools, teams, student athletes tools to do that in a way that can provide the same benefits, like Benny said, to help, and as Coach Collins said, to help our student athletes. You know, some of them, they don't probably go professional here in the States, but they'll go play professionally overseas, and they're certainly looking for jobs. And so how can we help them grow their brands? Because I'm a big believer in, at least in the conference space, you know, it's hard for us, an 11-person conference staff, to grow the America East brand. Our brand has grown when things like UMBC beats Virginia in March Madness. our brand has grown and we have #1 ranked teams like we've had in lacrosse. And so I want to do everything that we can to leverage our resources collaboratively and give those tools to our schools so that they can hopefully start to turn the engines on campus, because then collectively we've grown the American East brand in some.
I love it. So I look at each of you and I can see a hashtag over your head, because each of you have hashtags I see you use all the time on social that you stand for with your organizations. And I know a little bit of the stories of how you've come up with those, and they're pretty inspiring stories. Benny, I'll start with you. Snell, yeah, is your thing, and you were brilliant to the point where you began pushing it in college. As I said earlier, I think that you've made money that you're actually reaping the benefits now while you were still in school, just from watching you use our platform the way you did. And it's a big reason you're sitting here as a new pro athlete in front of this talented audience of sports professionals. So talk about the origin and the stance and philosophy of Benny Snell, yeah.
So Snell, yeah, first came from a fan. I don't know what fan it came from. I hope you're watching this and you can hit me up and let me know. So I was a freshman, and this is when I was getting like kind of just a little bit playing time here and there. But it was a game where the starter and the backup went down, and it was my time to shine. And it was against New Mexico State, and that's when I scored 4 touchdowns. Had my hat trick, you know what I mean?
+1.
So then it was the next like game, you know what I'm saying? And that was my first sign with anything on it. It said Snell, yeah. I was like, oh yeah, that's it. I was like, that's it. But ever since then, you know, I've carried it with me through, you know, fan interaction, you know, letting it be like my type of energy that it is on the field, so people can like feel like how emotionally, you know, I am attached to the game. You know, when I take pictures, or, you know, when I do certain things with fans, you know, it sticks with them. I feel like there's no such thing as a bad picture or a bad thing you can do with a fan other than good coming out of it. You know, if you turn down a fan, they're gonna go to their friend and say, oh, look what he did. You know, he didn't want to take a picture. You know, you take a picture of him, he's gonna go post it. He's gonna go tell a friend. You know what I'm saying? So with me having that brand, you know, it just swam all through Kentucky. You know what I'm saying? And it's with me now. So
Merchandise.
Yeah, I came
doing
out
a lot with it.
Merchandise. I'm kind of trying to think outside the box a little bit more. I want to do a little bit of real estate, and again, I want to do a little bit of charity work too. So right now I'm in the beginning stage of just building off the field. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Off the field. And so
Thinking forward, I love it. Now, Bruce, when athletes who use influencer grab content and post it, we want them to give credit to the photographer who worked hard to make that moment captured for them to use and tell them that story. And so your hashtag is USA Today. And you know, that's something important to you is, hey, I want to share this content through a platform like Influencer with all these athletes. But attribution is really important to you. And you think it's a part of this conversation you alluded to earlier when you talked about everybody being at the table to talk about this topic.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been said yet, but these guys are going to find, and I don't just talk about Benny, but all student athletes or all pro players, they're gonna find content and they're gonna post it. And what they're gonna do is probably find it off of a Google search or Google image search and right-click it and post it. And you know, at the end of the day, we represent copyright holders, and there was a technical violation of the copyright when that's done by any individual. It happens by everybody, right? So someone has to stand up and say, listen, that's wrong. There's kind of been a social norm that piracy is cool or it's allowed. We need to kind of stand up and say, listen, that's not right. Let's educate folks about the importance of not violating copyright.
It also doesn't make sense, sorry to interrupt, to have to have an athlete with millions of followers have to grab a watermarked photo when we could come up with a solution, which I think you're about to talk about.
That's it. I mean, so let's not put our head in the sand as leaders, both in media and in the leagues and teams. Let's collaborate around a solution. Let's enable these folks, these student athletes, to have access to content, but educate them. Say, listen, you have to access it in this means, so it's authorized. 2, USA Today is an important brand that invests a lot of money in production and photographers that we represent work their butt off to cover the games and show up early and go late. They deserve attribution. They deserve credit. They're artists. It's their copyrighted work that is there at issue. They deserve credit. And so we represent those folks. Those are the things we care about. And I don't think there's any reason why, if there's not a platform and a means that's easy and efficient for Benny and everyone else to use, they wouldn't do it. Why wouldn't they do it if we enabled the process to happen easily?
I love it. Amy, 3 pillars and spread respect are 2 hashtags that your league has embraced, not just from the conference office, but your athletic directors, your coaches, and they're pretty special campaigns when you really dig into what they're about.
Yeah, our 3 pillars hashtag is really, when we did our brand repositioning, gosh, seven years ago now, that's really what it's centered on is 3 pillars. The spread respect and 3 pillars are academics, athletics, and leadership, things that people in college athletics talk about all the time. And so we were trying to think about how could we be different in how we message that, and that's where the 3 pillars, that's the origin of the 3 pillars. The Spread Respect campaign is something that started probably 6 years ago now around our diversity and inclusion initiative. And it's really something that I've been really proud to see our student athletes embrace that. And like you said, Jim, our administrators, even our presidents embrace that when they use their social accounts as we continue to focus and make diversity and inclusion a priority for us. We have Spread Respect nights at our basketball games and in other sports where our student athletes will wear shooting shirts with our logo on it. And then social, like everyone's talked about for the last few days, is an incredible tool to spread that message. And so that's something we're really proud of as we've, like I said, committed to diversity and inclusion and try to put some action behind our words instead of just saying and talking about the fact that it's important. We're actually doing some things and trying to build every year around that initiative and expanding our focus from whether it was LGBTQ issues at the start to now race and diversity and ethnicity issues because those are so important to our student athletes.
Coach, 404 the culture. I mean, if you haven't searched any of these hashtags on Twitter, you should. They're really interesting to see the traction that Snell, USA Today, Spread Respect, and now 404 the culture really have garnered on Twitter especially, but Twitter, Instagram,
Sure.
It's great stuff. Talk about the origin of it and
Sure.
what it stands for.
So the big thing in college athletics, so we're going after student athletes to come to our school and to come to our institution. When they get to the next level, to the NFL, they're going for contracts, they're going for length of terms, they're going for signing bonuses, salary. So they're picking the numbers. In college, when they're choosing the brand, they're choosing the culture. Well, we are in Atlanta, the 404, and so everything we do is for the culture. And so we just use that hashtag that we're doing it for the culture. We're in the city of Atlanta. It's a special place. It's a special town in the Southeast. And so everything we do, is for the culture. And it's taken off. We've embraced that we are downtown Atlanta, large urban market, large media market, and we take pride in it. And the Georgia Institute of Technology brand is really, really strong.
And how have you seen that grow, not just from what you've done, sharing posts and using that hashtag, but from alums, from your student athletes? Sure. It's really a multi-dimensional movement.
Yeah, absolutely. So you'll go through Atlanta. So I'm a huge Waffle House fan. Anybody that doesn't know Waffle House, yeah, thank you.
Waffle House
Thank
Wednesdays.
You. So we have Waffle House Wednesdays, and now if you go into a Waffle House store and even on the Waffle House website, you can buy 404 hats. Georgia Tech grads are all up in the upper levels of management. The CEO is a Georgia Tech grad. You drive downtown Atlanta, they're starting to embrace 404 and everything AT&T. You walk into the Georgia Tech bookstore, the very first shirt you see when you walk into the Georgia Tech bookstore is a huge 404 sitting right there front and center. So we are the school in Atlanta, and we're really proud of it.
I love it. I love it. And it's starting to pay some real dividends. You had largest attendance for spring football in history, and recruiting's going really well.
Going really well, so it's an exciting time.
Benny, you touched on it a little bit. Let's go back to it. I know it's a topic people want to talk about and hear about. Name, image, and likeness. So as a student athlete, you talked about barriers that you experienced during your time in college. Elaborate on that from your perspective and just how you feel about it, what you feel should happen.
Well, I can definitely say it's tough. I just want to say right off the bat, it's kind of tough because when I was sold on my brand, like this is what I want to do, and I'm gonna see what I can do with it. it was like you almost can't do anything at all except be yourself as a player on the field, like as just a football player, you know. And I just feel like sometimes student athletes are way more than just what they are on the field or whatever they do. I feel like there's way more value to them, even in college, even, that fast, right away, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, I definitely feel like there should be a change for the future. You were telling me a little bit earlier that that's coming soon.
It
but,
is.
You know, I feel like there definitely needs to be a change.
Well, I mean, the mouthpiece example, right? So you can't really reap a return on what you've been able to do for that company by wearing that mouthpiece and being such an influential person representing it.
Right, and even the fact that like I'm done with my college career, and for me to even go to the brand to be like, look at all this I did, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, is there anything? It's just like nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't do anything with them. It's basically like I feel used. You know what I'm saying? They used me, but they didn't even use me. They didn't even mean to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like I felt like I could have got way more out of so much. Like just a side using their company. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So.
Amy, you can see this from a whole different perspective as a commissioner and a commissioner of a smaller college conference in the Division I realm. There's a lot of different perspectives here.
Yeah, there are. I'm glad the clock is ticking on this. No, it's definitely a very complex subject, and it's certainly gotten, a lot of airtime just this week with, I think you mentioned earlier, Jim, the state bill in California, and I think it's made its way through another committee, or made its way out of another committee, and it's really, sort of put the association under the gun in terms of, given everything going on with all the compensation or name and image likeness issues, really put us in a position as an association, as a membership, to look at these rules. And there is a working group that was just announced not that long ago that will provide a report back to the highest entity in the NCAA governance structure this fall to look at it. It's really complicated. I don't want to bore anyone with all the legal complexities or what have you, but it certainly is, the example that we just talked about with Benny is pretty obvious that, I think there's a good argument that can be made for us needing as an association to relax the rules. There's lots of other things and pressures that come along with those things if the rules are relaxed that we have to be mindful of. And look, we're part of higher education. Whether people believe that or not, whether they like that or not, we are. We work at universities. We have a lot of sports that we're responsible for at the smallest level up to the highest level. And one of the things we hear a lot about from student athletes today is all of the pressures that they have as being as student athletes, from all their athletic expectations and pressures from practice, training, especially if they're preparing for a professional career. They do go to class, they have to study, they have to do all of those types of things. And there's already seemingly not enough time in the day to do that. So if we layer on now an expectation that they have personal endorsement deals or whatever, where is that going to fit, and how are we going to continue to protect the student athlete experience? I'm not suggesting that can't be done, but those are just one small area of issues that as administrators we look at, because we want our student athletes to have the best experience. We want them to be able to use their brand, and however that means, whether it's just get a degree so they can go get a great job on Wall Street or as a physician, or go play in the NFL. But there's just so many different things that go into it. And I think that's where I'm glad to see that there's a working group finally taking a look at it. It's probably, I know a lot of people think it's well past, maybe 25 years past its time to look at it. But this is, again, whether people agree with it or not, it's one of the enduring principles of college athletics. And you don't, as individuals or organizations, just change your principles and values every 5 years. That's not good practice.
Sure. And
so while it might be past its time, it is something that people don't look at lightly, and that's why I think now is the right time to take a look at it. Certainly the state legislative activity in California, and there's, I think, a bill in North Carolina as well, that applies some external pressure, and I don't think anyone wants to see college athletics regulated at the state level or even at the federal level. So I think that's where all of the confluence of all of these different things are really putting it at the forefront. We didn't have social media when these rules are adopted, and so these types of things and this conversation wasn't contemplated back then. But we have them now, and we have to confront it and deal with it and figure out what the model for college athletics is, looking forward, knowing what we know today, and now where are we going to be in 5 or 10 years, and see if we can't craft a system around the same values and principles, but that maybe provides some flexibility.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this. You guys all contributed greatly to this panel, providing unique perspectives, a great combination. Everybody give these guys a hand. I think we have time for one question. Are there any questions? We have one down here we'll read from the screen. It's from Riley Madden. It's for Benny. Benny, do you think that it would be good for rookies and other young players to use their brands and ability to utilize their name and likeness to help build the brand of a lesser-known college player and springboard their future?
That's a good one.
So maybe like the running back taking over for you this year in
Right.
Kentucky.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely a good question. You know, I definitely feel like that even like where we're at right now, for me to, my man's his name AJ, for AJ to see this and for him be able to see what I went through, I would want him to learn from that. I would want people to learn from this experience that like, you can't do much. But if you start right now and you do what you can right now, it'll pay off in the end.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it paid off for me. So that's what I would say.
It's a great answer. Thanks again, everybody.